When the Oklahoma City Thunder traded away Paul George to the LA Clippers for Danilo Gallinari, Shai Gilgeous-Alexander, and what would amount to be 5 first-round picks, and then would subsequently trade their franchise player Russell Westbrook to the Houston Rockets for Chris Paul and even more draft capital. This, of course, after Damian Lillard sent the Thunder home in the first round in 5 games, waving bye to the Thunder bench while doing it. It was clear then that the Oklahoma City Thunder, who had tried to cling on to building around Russ and remaining competitive despite losing Kevin Durant a couple years prior, that the franchise was going into a full-blown rebuild, stacking draft capital and starting fresh. And at that time, the thought was that, well, they'll eventually trade Chris Paul, same with Gallinari, and after having an impressive run in the 2019-20 season where the Thunder were expected to be one of the worst teams in the NBA, they would end up with the 5th seed in the West and give the Rockets a run for their money, taking the series to 7 games in the bubble. And then, of course, that shortened offseason, the Thunder would trade Chris Paul on the final year of his deal, going completely young, ripe, and with draft picks, and officially beginning the rebuild. A rebuild that was thought would take years to develop into building a true title contender again. But somehow, after just merely 3 to 4 seasons of completely tearing down this roster and moving away from their best players, the Oklahoma City Thunder have risen to prominence and are shocking the NBA world by just how good they have been this season and becoming a legitimate contender so quickly and contending while still being one of the youngest teams in the NBA and still having so many draft picks to work with for the future. How good are they, you ask? Well, let's talk about it. As always, if you're new to the channel and you like this type of content, it would mean a great deal to me if you subscribe to help the channel grow. We're nearing 25,000 subscribers, and I cannot thank you all enough for the support in getting the channel to where it is today. Now, over the offseason, I made an entire video on how the Oklahoma City Thunder were going to be one of the biggest surprises going into the season, and also a team that was going to be a threat in the NBA for the foreseeable future. And then, of course, in my preseason predictions video, I had the Thunder finishing 6th in the Western Conference. And I don't bring this up to say, I told you so, or look at me, I thought this team was going to be good, and now they are, but more so that even I underestimated just how good they could be. And I had so many people come at me in the comments on those videos laughing that I was this high on the Thunder and how they would be lucky to even make it to the play-in. The point is, we all underestimated this team and just how good they could be. Because here's the thing, we all knew this was going to be a young, energetic, fun, and exciting team to watch. They were a league pass must. But we didn't know, or we didn't think they would actually be contenders. And while sure, you could argue, are they really contenders, or is this just a good first half run stretch of the season for a young team? Will they be able to sustain this over time? Will they be able to keep up this level of play come playoff time when they have little experience and when the game slows down drastically? And while I don't think the Thunder are going to be winning the championship this season and will likely have to go through some growing pains with some painful playoff series losses before they get there, but even despite that, the level of play we have seen from the Thunder is sustainable and not just some fluke to start the season. Here's the thing, we all knew that with the addition of Chet Holmgren, who missed his entire rookie season, that the Thunder would be better and a more dynamic team on both ends of the floor. With Holmgren and his unique skills providing both high-level offense and elite-level rim protection, it would shore up exactly some of the Thunder's biggest struggles from last season, namely shot blocking, rim protection, and rebounding. You combine that with SGA breaking out last season and performing at a near MVP caliber level, him progressing even further and getting better going into this season, rookie standout Jalen Williams, one of the biggest steals of the 2022 draft, Josh Giddey with the expectation that he would get better going into the following season, like there was no question this team would be better. But going from 10th in the West, middle of the pack on both offense and defense, not a good rebounding team, not a good shot blocking team, not a good shooting team. They were bottom 5 in field goal percentage last season, to now a team that is elite on both ends of the floor, 5th in the league on offense, 6th on defense, 3rd overall net rating, top 5 in the league in points per game. They went from being one of the worst shot blocking teams in the NBA to number 1 currently, 25th in the league last year in field goal percentage to number 3. They're currently the best three-point shooting team in the NBA by percentage, and they're the best free throw shooting team in the league by percentage. They've improved nearly every aspect and facet of their game with the exception of rebounding, and they're sitting pretty at the top of the Western Conference, only behind the Timberwolves at the time of this recording. But sitting that high in the standings while also having one of the hardest strength of schedules in the league to date. This team moves well, they're super fast, they're incredibly efficient when it comes to finishing at the rim or shooting from outside. They take care of the ball, limiting turnovers, which is rare for a young team that is still developing. They play scrappy, hard-nosed defense, and they're doing all of this with their main core of players being 25 or under. This team is legit. Legit for this season and legit for the future. A team that is going to be scary for years to come. Chet Holmgren, has been everything as advertised. People weren't sure how well his game would translate into the NBA. His skinny frame, would he be able to hold up in the NBA? And that season-ending injury didn't help that narrative. But Chet has been phenomenal in just his rookie season, showing why he is in fact a generational talent, why he does have the ability to be a franchise-level player and a perfect complement to the skills of Shai Gilgeous-Alexander. A 7-footer that can play in the post, finish at the basket, but also shoot it over 40% from outside, crash the boards, shot block at an elite rate, pass. I know all of the hype right now is surrounded by Victor Wembanyama, and rightfully so, but Chet has been just as impressive, if not more, in terms of what he's been able to do and how to impact winning. And the reason I mention Chet so much here, despite the Thunder's best player clearly being Shai Gilgeous-Alexander, who has been on an absolute tear this season, a superstar and MVP candidate, is because Chet has been the biggest difference maker for the Thunder this season. As good as SGA has been, as good as Jalen Williams has been in taking his game to the next level, this team needed Chet. They needed that connector piece in the middle, a high IQ big with court vision, who can play both sides of the ball, a big that addressed so many of their weaknesses last season. Chet is a big reason for the Thunder's drastic improvement from last season and why they're exceeding expectations. Now, of course, without SGA, this team would be nothing. He's the star, the superstar, but more so trying to say the level of impact and difference maker Chet has been for this team compared to last season is palpable. But really, I don't think you can single out any particular player and what they've been able to do for this team so far this season, because this is a very well-rounded, well-coached, well-constructed roster that plays team basketball and complements each other's skills nicely. Lu Dort, a lot of people forgot about him last season because he had somewhat of a down year. Dude is still a high-level defender, but has perfected his outside shooting and becoming one of the better 3-and-D players in the league. Josh Giddey, still a super smart, savvy, and dynamic guard for them. Jalen Williams continues to get better with every passing game, improving his offense substantially. And then you factor in their depth, their role players who have been big pieces in their success, Isaiah Joe coming out of nowhere and being a solid role player for them, Cason Wallace having a good rookie season so far. There is just so much to like about this team and everything that they're doing. They play basketball the right way. It's fun and exciting to watch, and I said before, aside from the Chicago Bulls, of course, this is the team I've been rooting for most this season just because they have so much potential for the future and they play the brand and style of basketball that I love. Fast-paced, high energy, hustle, and grit. The last thing I'll say about this team, and it's more so about the front office and what I'd like to see them do, this is their opportunity right now to take all that draft capital they have amassed over the years from all those trades for Paul George, Russell Westbrook that they intended to use to start rebuilding. They've been waiting for a time to capitalize and cash in on all of those picks. Now is that time to go after another star to really put this team over the top. Who does that star look like? I don't know. Lauri Markkanen's name has been floating around. Maybe they could trade Pascal Siakam on that expiring deal if they can get him to commit to re-signing with them. The challenge, though, is going to be finding the salary to match a big-time star player because the Thunder, outside of SGA and the bad contract of Davis Bertans, most of their players aren't making that much, and they're on their rookie-scale deals. So I say that they should capitalize on all their picks and make a trade to add another star, but I also know that's easier said than done when you're confined to the salary cap and matching salaries. And it's not like there are just a ton of stars that are available in the trade market that they can add. And the ones who are available might not be the players they would want anyway if their current team is looking to get rid of them. But the point is, the Thunder have an opportunity, unlike most teams around the league, to really beef up their roster even further by the trade deadline and really propel this team into being a title favorite. And who would have thought that just 3 years ago we would be talking about the Oklahoma City Thunder in this way? We knew they would eventually get there, but we never thought they would rise this quickly in being one of the best teams in the NBA. Let me know what you guys think. Do you think the Thunder have a chance at a title this season? Let me know in the comments. As always, be sure to subscribe, and I'll see you in the next one.